I'm Priscilla Pipo with Balanced Culture Consulting, and this is the final part of knowing and being known. This is what we teach leaders so that they can understand and be armed or equipped with this in their toolbox of how to understand yourself and others. We see the leader's role as being a developer of others, being a developer of other leaders, ideally. So you want to understand what motivates people, how they communicate, how they take information in, and so that you can meet them where they are. We're going to talk about the fourth dichotomy in the Myers-Briggs, and that's the difference between judging and perceiving. Carl Jung did the work that came up with the initial basis for the Myers-Briggs, and that was the introversion, extroversion, sensing and intuiting, thinking and feeling. And then the Myers-Briggs mother and daughter team came up with the fourth one, which is judging your environment as judge controller or perceiver is how they described it. And it's how you're interacting with your environment. The judge controllers tend to be the ones that have a finality about a structure, about making decisions, about getting to the end point. They have the beginning and the end, and they're pretty sure that there's a sequence that you need to follow to get there. Now, all of these other letters interact as well, right? So, as an intuitive J, you might take a circuitous route, but you have an endpoint in mind, and you may or may not be good at communicating it to others, but that's part of one of your goals to understanding yourself. Again, knowing and being known. As a J and a leader, if you have people reporting to you or you're in relationships with people who are a perceiver, it's the other end of the continuum, you're going to have to learn how to manage that difference between how you communicate and how they communicate. The biggest difference that I've observed is with deadlines, with coming to a conclusion and a finality. Perceivers like to leave things open-ended. They like to be looking at the possibilities. What are the options? What are the things we haven't considered yet? A wonderful asset for any team is to have somebody who's keeping those options open and thinking about, wait a minute, let's not make a decision too quickly. Because those of us who are J's, we feel better when we get that decision made and we can move on to the next thing. You see it in relationships, any relationship that you have, when you understand the difference. You see it often in relationships. One will be a J and one will be a P. And it allows them both to go through life with some structure and some spontaneity. And it's fun to watch. I say that because I see that in my own relationship with my spouse. He is a perceiver and I'm a J. And so the difference when we plan trips, for example, I want to have everything organized and I want to know where we're going and when we're going to get there. But I've learned from him the spontaneity and the value of not planning everything out. And not just because I stress myself out, which I do, and I stress him out, definitely, but because I miss things. And I don't get to appreciate and enjoy the moments that are appearing before me. As a J, when you're managing a P, make sure when you give a deadline, you mean that that's the deadline. They'll get it done. I love the graphic that shows it's a circuitous route to get there, but they'll get it done. J's sometimes say, I want it done by Friday, but what they mean is Thursday before you go home. If you mean Thursday before you go home, let them know, because they're going to honor that. But you need to be clear. And that's what this all goes back to, right? Being clear, helping people understand one another, because you want to get the best from the people that you are leading, and you want to be able to give them the best of yourself. This is Priscilla Pipo with Balanced Culture Consulting. Thank you for joining me for the final part of our second tool in the toolbox, knowing and being known.